Hello, Eric, my man. It's so nice to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
It's a beautiful day. I mean, 7 p.m. here in Bali. Very relaxing, lovely day. Bit hard of the rain today, but overall just amazing.
Amazing. I love that. I love that. And thank you so very much for being here, you see. I truly appreciate you. And you see, Eric, my man, oftentimes I love to thank my guests for two things. And I do this so often to the point where it has become my anthem. So, firstly, my man, I want to say thank you so very much for investing in yourself. You see, Eric, you are on this platform right now because you did invest that in yourself. And oftentimes, my man, I love to make reference to the amazing mango tree. You see, Eric, some couple of months back, I was on a particular road, and just by the roadside, Eric, there was this very tall, unattractive mango tree. And I used the word unattractive because the mango tree's got no mangoes on it and the leaves were all dry. So I just walked past it and I went my way. But you see, Eric, just recently I was on that same road. And this time around, a lot's changed about the mango tree, you see. The mango tree caught my attention pretty good from a distance. And immediately I got the urge to move so close to it, of which I did, and it wowed me because now the mango tree's got a lot of mangoes on it, beautiful green leaves and healthy branches, and not just mangoes now, Eric. I'm talking about ripe mangoes. It was such a lovely
Mm.
experience that day, and I was so excited. Here's my point: the fact that you dedicated your time, energy, and resources to becoming the amazing Eric that you are today, that alone has made it impossible for me to skip you. And that's why you got the request from me to be on the show because I was attracted to the fruit of all that you're doing, your philosophies, your insights, the impact your work is having, and how you are offering the solutions, Eric. This stuff's so beautiful. And just before I sent you that request, I said to myself, I've got to benefit from these beautiful things Eric is doing. And not only me now, because I don't want to look selfish, and even with the audience. And here we are today with the amazing Eric. So thank you so very much for doing that yourself. And secondly, thank you for saying yes to the invite. Because if you had said nope, there was absolutely nothing Elijah could do about it. Thanks so much, my man.
Thank you, Elijah. I love the story. Thank you for the flattery. Um, but yeah, I love the story in general. I think that's something I can even tell to my kids. I love this idea about, as you said, investing in yourself. As you said, you see the unattractive mango tree, then you see the attractive mango tree. Which one do you go to? You go to the one with the ripe fruits. I love it. It's a really good story. Thank you for sharing that one with me.
Thank you very much, my man, and I thank you once again too. Thank you. Okay, so let's get started. You see, I am quite excited to have Eric on the show today for some reasons. Firstly, my interest in knowledge seeking. I believe in order for one to transition from a terrible situation to that of a beautiful one, Eric, I believe it takes the application of knowledge, quality information, and not just knowledge alone, but the application of it. And you see, my man, ever since I discovered that light in the Hebrew means knowledge and darkness ignorance, I've been so keen to knowledge seeking. Why? Because I do not want to remain in the dark. So that's going to make our conversation today very important to me and even to the listeners. And the second reason why I'm so excited to have the incredible Eric on the show is for the sake of the audience. You see, my man, we live in an age where information is as abundant as grains of sand. We've got lots of information flying out there. So these folks trust me for quality, eye-opening, and very important information, of which I am totally convinced, my man, that our conversation is going to be insightful and impactful. So, for that reason, Eric, let's get started with your introduction. Talk to us about your personal or your professional journey, because right now We are so curious. Wanna know how Eric got here? Then afterwards, I've gotten some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Eric, my man, over to you.
Sure. I guess the quick introduction. So, my name's Eric. I'm American. I've spent about half of my life just around the world in different places, and education has always been what I work, what I do, what I love. I have a master's in education from Harvard, and that was the reason I got that was specifically so that I could help build a new type of school, right? And that's what I'm doing right now. So over in Bali, I'm helping to build something called Empathy School. We focus on many things. We focus on empathy, as you can imagine. Empathy means not just understanding other people or walking in their shoes. I'm sure you've heard that, but it also means understanding yourself. Because if you can love yourself, if you can forgive yourself, if you can, you know, help to regulate your own emotions and not be anxious, but be always excited, then your life is going to be so much better. You're going to learn so much more. You're going to accomplish so many more things. So, self empathy is another big, big, big part of that. And the third part of that is, I would say, even empathy towards society. Society is a confusing thing, right? It's a really confusing thing. I think everyone always is confused at one point. So, we also try to keep the kids informed, like why does, what are the effects of how society makes their decisions as a groups, as individuals. So it's holistic. That's what the concept of empathy is. But on top of that, we're a nature school. So we're out in the jungle, in the rice fields, huge space. The kids are running, the kids are climbing, and the kids are learning, learning, and learning. Because when we built the school, the real goal was to make a school that is built on how kids learn. And you know this, everyone knows this. You don't learn so well just sitting on a desk all day. As an adult, if I told you to sit in the desk all day, you're going to be unhappy, right? It doesn't work for you, right? Do you think it works for a kid? No, right? You're supposed to walk 10,000 steps a day, and you probably don't. But kids are supposed to walk 14,000 steps a day, right? They need to be moving. When kids move, they're easier for the teacher, they learn more, everyone benefits. So, the entire idea of the school is built upon the foundation of what kids need to learn and what the future of the entire world will be and what education we need for it.
Amazing. And this is a beautiful perspective that I'm just, let's say, hearing. I've always known that traditional education is missing a lot of important stuff, but the way you put it is amazing. I tell you, my man. And let's talk about some of the things that are missing in traditional education today. Can you talk to us about these things?
Sure. Let's just go to what traditional education pretends it's strong at. Traditional education will pretend it's good at math, right? But the studies don't show that. But remember when you were
Wow.
young and you were learning, how to measure the outside of a square? You're going to figure out the parameter, the
Right,
outside of the
right.
square. And then what happens is you're on a piece of paper and you're doing it on the paper and you're repeating and repeating and repeating. The traditional model believes that through repetition we remember. But all of the evidence says that the things that we learn in grade school and high school, we don't necessarily retain because we're not interested in them. Instead,
True.
what the right way to do that, so the right way to teach math, especially something like the outside of the square, is hands-on. So one of the things we do at the school is we give the kids some ropes. So imagine you're 8 years old, you're with your friends, it's a little bit hot outside, there's no cloud cover, maybe it's too hot, and we're going to give you ropes. And hey, this is a 1 meter rope, here's a 3 meter rope, here's a 5 meter rope, here's a 10 meter rope, here's a sketchbook. Draw the rice field terrain, measure it. How many meters is it? So now the reason this works is because our brains love novelty, our brains love challenge, right? Our brains do not love memorization. So I was talking to a kid a while back and he did this project 4 years ago. He's 12 years old now. Did it 4 years ago. And he remembers it. He remembers who was in the group with him. He remembers,
Wow.
like drawing it. He remembers falling in the mud, right? And his foot getting stuck. This is 4 years ago. So, from your math class, you don't remember that. So the way education must change is to meet kids where they are. Now, I said this before AI came, but now AI is here. So quite frankly, the future is so different than whatever we can expect. The most important things to teach the kids are going to be the things the school teaches. not just math, but adaptability, because it might be rainy, it might be sunny. You have to figure out how to handle that, right? Helps you teach how to regulate your emotions. That's the idea of empathy. Teaches you all of these many, many things that you will need to become a very critical thinking individual in the future, because you don't get critical thinking from a traditional school model. It just doesn't work. There's a great study from NASA in the 1960s which showed that over a long period of time, the many students who went through the traditional schools, I think 3% were still genius by the time they graduated. But in kindergarten, 100% were genius.
Wow. Whoa. That's shocking, I tell you. I tell you. And I really wish many of this traditional education can just implement many of these things that you're sharing. Because really, this is common sense, you know. Many of the things that I learned way back, I tell you, I can barely remember. And this teaching back then, Eric, this, you know, in this African side of things, the teachers believe that you've got to beat the child in order for the teachings to stick. So they beat the hell out of me way back then, and still many of those things I can't even remember. So
Turns out
I feel,
beating doesn't help you remember.
I tell you, man. So I feel this stuff should be implemented, accepted, adopted. This is simply common sense. You see, so I've got some questions more. So, you know, you talked about going to Harvard and you studied education. So how did your Harvard training shape your view of education?
You know what? When I went to Harvard, because my ideas are so radical, especially at the time, I thought the professors, I thought the other students, they might be against my worldview, and they weren't. Now, a lot of other people who were going to be principals or be teachers, they were expecting they would work in the public system somewhere in the world, right? So they did have more conservative, traditional views on this one, right? But everyone was receptive. Everyone was helping me become critical with my own ideas, to really explore them in depth and to find ways to analyze the ones that work. So honestly, it gave me connections. Harvard gave me connections. Harvard gave me lots of thought. And you know what? Harvard teaches you to work. Oh my God. Okay. Here's a story. It's a joke from Harvard. So it's 4 o'clock in the morning. You're in the library. You're finishing your paper, right? And you have a pile of pizza on your table and you have a pile of coffee and you stand up to stretch and you look around the library and every table is full of students at 4 o'clock in the morning doing the exact same thing. It teaches you to work hard. Like you learn how like 100-hour weeks are doable.
Wow.
It's an important skill.
Amazing, amazing. I got that. So let us talk about emotional intelligence. I believe emotional intelligence is the new literacy. What's your thought on
Yeah.
that?
Well, emotional intelligence has always been important, but you're right. People are realizing it now, and it's becoming more and more common. So, there's a really good study on emotional intelligence which shows that actually people who are emotionally intelligent will be more successful in life. What does more successful mean? Well, it does mean more money, but it also means a happier marriage. It also means more friends, right? So the studies are really clear on this, that when you understand others and you understand yourself, life is better. Now, what emotional intelligence means is a very big topic, very big. It does mean that you have to be able to know how to communicate with others, as I said, but also yourself. And yourself is the really, really hard part. I mean, I'll give you an example, Elijah. How many times in your life have you ever been anxious? Oh no, there's a problem. And then that problem never came. Right? That's the human experience, to be stressed, to be afraid, to be anxious, and it doesn't help us and we don't grow in it. So, one of the simple parts of emotional intelligence is learning how to regulate your emotions. And emotional intelligence opens up one really important thing about learning, too. Because remember in math, we like to pretend everyone learns the same way, which is not true. That's probably why you didn't
Mm,
learn sometime in later.
yeah.
The way you learn, the way I learn, the way your friend learns, it could be very different. It could be the same. The thing is, with emotional intelligence, it's easier to observe. I mean, I'll give you an example. On Empathy Campus, I might see a student and something happens, and maybe they're going to react and get angry normally. Instead, one student, maybe they start taking deep breaths because that works for them. Maybe another student just starts, talking about the situation and explaining it in a calm, peaceful way, an observation, and that works for them. Both of these methods are very different, but they allow a kid or an adult to take a tense situation and bring it down, to regulate the emotions. Again, that's a 20-hour conversation, but it's something that I think every human should aim for, and I'm really hoping that every school in the future will have this. Because if there's a there's this saying. The saying basically is, you spend most of your 20s trying to heal from from your early childhood. What if we
Right.
don't have to heal? What if, we're emotionally intelligent, we know how to handle our emotions, we know how to forgive our parents and forgive, the world and not become a victim? Then when we reach adulthood, will we accomplish more? And I do believe the answer is yes, absolutely yes.
Me too. I firmly believe that. Okay, you mentioned parents now. So, how can parents support emotional growth in their kids at home?
That's a good question. So, the first thing I would say, and always remember this, parents, that you're not perfect. You'll never be perfect, and don't take it out on yourself. Now, why do I say that? Because actually, one of the first things you can tell your kids is that you're not perfect. By being honest to them, by letting them know you make mistakes, by apologizing, they learn to do that, right? They learn to understand people more. But another really important thing is that every human is different. It's you can't the way one person reacts to a situation, another person can be so different that it's really important to teach kids that you need many strategies to handle whatever you find. And then it depends really on the age of the kid. When the kids are young, I like to start with emotional granularity. That means we teach them words, teach them the feeling words. I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm frustrated. And it's not about having the most, complex conversation in the world, but just start trying to ask them how they feel, understand how they feel, and talk to them. I remember one time my older son, he was maybe 8 years old, and I said, "You must be so angry." And he's like, "No, daddy, I'm frustrated." So I'm very proud that he can tell no to me. I'm very proud that he can express himself. And then when he does this, I say, "Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more." Right? It is this connection that teaches the skills, and this connections that makes them feel safe. And when they feel safe, they're going to come to you more, especially when they get older in life.
That's true. And I got that. So we have two more to go. Okay. If you could change one thing about schools globally, what would that be?
I really think if I could only do one thing and one thing only, then I would encourage all schools to do, well, you're calling it emotional intelligence classes, right? Social emotional learning. There's so many words for it. Empathy. I want empathy in classes globally. That means teachers know how to be empathetic, but also know how to teach empathy. It's actually two different things. Being empathetic is great, but sometimes teaching the empathy skills actually works better for kids to learn. Do you know what I mean? It's great if you can. Well, yeah, that's the quick version of it.
Amazing, and I got that. So let's shift it now to parents. Oh, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. What would you like to leave the audience with? Maybe parents, educators, like a final thought. And to those individuals who like to reach out to you, learn more about the amazing stuff you're doing, or even ask you questions. How can that be possible?
Absolutely. So the best way to reach me or the school, I have an Instagram. It's Principal Eric.
Go on, I'm with you.
So there's a lot of ways to teach empathy, and that's definitely something I want to leave people with. you know, One of the ways that I created, and actually I have about 200 schools in the world using. If anyone wants their school to use it, just contact me and I will send you the files. I will send you the instructions. It's absolutely free. I want to help change the world. So I have a really fun card game. Now it mostly works with younger kids, but quite honestly, it can work with adults. I remember having some conflicts with adults and using these cards, but what they are is they're empathy cards that help you convey how you feel. And that allows you to go through the process to talk about why you feel that way. And that conversation that you and another person have will normally lead to a better understanding of what's going on. And I like to start it with kids when they're young because then they get to know it and they get to use it and it really helps them.
Beautiful, beautiful. So can you repeat your website?
Well, the website is www.empathy.school, but the Instagram is empathy.school. And my Instagram is principal underscore Eric, Principal Eric.
Beautiful, beautiful. So that's gonna be the end of the show, Eric. Thank you so very much, man, for making this a beautiful section, and I truly appreciate you. And same with the audience. Thank you so much, Eric.
Thank you so much, Elijah. Hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy your day.